In Genesis 1, it is recorded that God made light and also day and night on the first day of creation. Yet the two great lights, i.e. the sun and the moon, are created on the fourth day. Is it possible for us to have any understanding of how you could have day and night without the sun as a source of light? Or are these poetic and symbolic descriptions? And then a similar question, what is the difference in the lights God created in Genesis 1:3 and Genesis 1:14? I believe the first light was the light of God himself to drive away the pervading satanic darkness due to the fall. What is your view on that? Kind regards.
Well, I appreciate the thought, but first of all, the darkness of verse 2 in Genesis chapter 1 is simply the reality of a lack of light. It's the absence of light. It has nothing to do with Satan. It has nothing to do with sin or evil. Remember that Satan does not sin himself, is not kicked out of heaven until after the week of creation, not before. So first of all, that's simply the absence of light. Secondly, going back to the question concerning the days, on day 1, verse 3, God commands light to come into existence. But remember that God is the light giver. Around the throne of God in the book of Revelation, it's surrounded by light. Jesus is the light of the world. God does not require the sun, the moon, the stars to create light nor reflect light. He can simply speak it into existence because he is sovereign. Secondly, the light must be traveling in one direction, because in verse 2, the Holy Spirit starts the rotation of the earth in darkness. And only after the earth is rotating, in verse 3, then God creates light, and it's traveling in one direction, which is why we have one period of light, one period of darkness, one day, one rotation. Now, the first, second, third day of creation are exactly the same as the fifth, sixth day of creation, exactly the same kind of day that you and I experience today. They're one rotation of the earth, roughly approximately 24 hours, because a day isn't exactly 24 hours. And if you will liken me for a moment, if I were to take you, put you in a coal mine, turn off the lights, you'd be in absolute, utter, complete darkness. But if I left you there while the earth turned one time around its axis and then opened the door, you would have experienced a day without ever seeing light. You see, light isn't the determining factor of what we call a day. A day is a rotation of the earth. Now, I would beg you to go to Exodus chapter 20. This is the giving of the Ten Commandments, where God stops in the middle of giving the Ten Commandments, and in verses 8 to 11, he says, "You shall work 6 days and rest one, because I worked 6 days and rested one." And he says that the first 3 days are equal in length to the last 3 days, that they are not different days. But on day 4, God simply substitutes the light from the sun for the light that he has spoken into existence, and it's traveling through space for the first 3 days.